we are. Hello, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Okie dokie. Okay, quick audio check. Can you guys hear me? Just making sure everything's good on your end. Let's see. Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. Sounds like you guys can hear me. Fantastic. Okay. All right. Gonna wait a few minutes before starting the anti-communist propaganda. Give people a few more minutes to get here before we get started. So I guess I'd say maybe the first 10 minutes, let this be a Q&A. So you got questions? Shoot them at me. We'll be doing that for about the first 10 minutes. Setting things up. All right. Yep. Hey, Eston Alexander, how's your day today? It's all right. It's been all right. It's one of the days I have off from my regular job, so I get stuff done, work on video stuff. And I think I've mentioned this before, but part 2 of the Holodomor trilogy will be coming out next Tuesday morning. So, stay tuned for that. The video's been ready since December. It's just YouTube took forever to review the video and approve it for monetization. The Neela Possessed asks, was FDR accused of being a communist? Why, yes, he was, by many people then and now. But then again, back then, communist was a label that was thrown around a lot. It was thrown around a lot, so incorrectly a lot of the time. FDR was not a communist, no, he was a progressive, and there's a difference between the two. I have a video in the works at some point in the future about progressivism in the United States, and so I think I'll be able to explain more about FDR there. Well, okay, there's going to be a lot of videos about FDR in the next year, I think. And that'll be one of them. So yeah, the Shen Partey asks, what do you think of the Oak Island saga? Do you think there is something buried up there or nothing buried? I'm not familiar with the Oak Island saga. I'm not familiar with that. Is it a show? A AR game or something? I don't know. I'm not familiar with the Oak Island saga. Yee. Alright, we have a few more minutes before we start playing. Any more questions before we get to the anti-communist propaganda? Alright, refresh. It's the Shen Partey, yeah, it's the Curse of Oak Island TV show and history. Oh, I have no idea. I have never watched that show. I don't watch the History Channel, and we just got rid of cable recently, so no, we don't, and definitely not watching it now. Iro asks, what era of history do you find most appealing? I like the current era of history mostly because it has the most creature comforts. Like I would not want to live 100 years ago when there wasn't as much indoor plumbing or electricity. The current is, as much as we like to complain about the present, it's actually pretty damn good, all things considered, for history. It's like there's never been a better time to be a living human than right now. So yeah, Felipe Garcia, what's the U.S. version of the Cuban Revolution? Are you asking like the U.S. interpretation of it? And or I'm not entirely sure what you're asking, because the U.S. version of the Cuban Revolution, I mean, we don't have a version of it. At least unless you're asking the interpretation. Hold on a second. The Voice of Reason 467. Any chance you could shed light on some of the Hollywood is red? Some of the Hollywood is red. A lot of chuds like Razorfist says the place was always red. Not actually something I buy. Well, there were a lot of pinkos in Hollywood back in the 1930s and 40s. There were a lot of them. You know, there was a lot of them. It was one of the many reasons why the House on Un-American Activities Committee was founded. Plus, during World War II, some Soviet propaganda came out of Hollywood during World War II. You know, but that was part of a bigger sort of war strategy there. Let's see, Charlie Adams, what do you think about the British Empire? I don't know. There are some good things about it, and there are some bad things about it. You know, some of the way it treated natives wasn't very good, but also it spread, old-fashioned 19th century liberalism around. So, that's nice. Yeah, Philippe Garcia, yes, the U.S. interpretation of the Cuban Revolution. Well, the thing is that there's a bunch of interpretations of the Cuban Revolution depending on, historiography. So, there are those who are more sympathetic towards the revolution, those who are more against it. I'm not too familiar with Cuban Revolution historiography myself, so that's something I would have to look more into. But yeah, there's a bunch of different interpretations here depending on an individual's their own political perspectives. Let's see. Should the House Un-American Activities Committee be brought back? I don't think so. It was abused at the time, and I don't imagine it not being abused today. Let's see. Dan Octavian, do you think the Democratic Party is still liberal, or did it become progressive? I think the Democratic Party has been progressive for quite some time. I mean, sure, there are liberal elements within it, but the liberal elements within the Democratic Party today are the moderate ones, and I think they are a somewhat endangered species, but, they continue to exist. See, Patriotic Jahuri, what do you think about the Hasmonean dynasty? You'll find out later this month when I have the next when I have my next Jewish history video out. Let's see. Kuro Azrem, will we only look at anti-Marxist propaganda or generally anti-socialist? We'll be looking at anti-communist propaganda produced by the U.S. federal government in the 1950s. Now, depending on how long it takes us to get through these with, stopping to comment on it and whatnot, I don't know how many we're actually going to get through. So, yeah. Yeah, Shen Partey, last question before the video. What do you think of the Wall Street Bets story? It's another story that reinforces a lot of people's... I think the Wall Street Bets story kind of mostly just reinforces the opinions people already had when it comes to Wall Street and capitalism and whatnot. There is this perception by some that, the system is rigged against anyone, against the little guy. And it's hard to argue that the Wall Street Bets story doesn't, look like that. Doesn't add to that fire. Of course, the Wall Street Bets group isn't all just, they're not just sort of the innocent little guy in all of this, or at least not all of them. It's a pretty, it's an interesting story, but it mostly just reinforces everyone's priors. All right, we're about 10 minutes into the stream now, so I think I am gonna get the video started. The video we are watching is called Face to Face with Communism. It's from 1951, and you can find this video on YouTube yourself at the U.S. National Archives YouTube channel. see. All right, let me set this up here. All right. Gotta get headsets on and... Alrighty. Do. All right, and here we go.
I'm Jim Conway. On a 3-day pass. Home's a little too far to go, so I'm just looking for a change of scene and some good sack time. And, well, maybe a little fun. I like this town. Quiet enough to relax. Friendly enough to get acquainted. No, thank you.
Come on, you
Listen, kid. I'm on pass. When I'm on pass, I don't want to read nothing about nothing. So run along, tell your papers. That's it. Yeah.
Gee, thanks. Right on about it. Get your latest
I guess it's about 7 o'clock the next morning. I'm fast asleep in this room at the Decatur Hotel on the square. I don't know how long it's been going on, but... Ever anybody wants to get me, please, it's always easy. How do you expect a guy to sleep with all that racket going on out there? You know, if you'd wised me up to this shindig, I'd have gone someplace else.
I thought you knew about it, Sergeant. It was in the paper.
Yeah. Well, if I was running a hotel, I'd have enough...
You got the mail ready?
There it is.
Is this everything?
Everything.
Okay, you'll get it back when it's sent.
Did that mail belong to the folks who are staying here?
That's right.
But, well, since when have they started censoring mail in this country?
I told you it was in the papers.
Now, just exactly what kind of a bird is it?
Don't let it get you down, Sergeant.
me up. And anyone who gets me up when I don't have to get up is a... Brother, you just lost the customer.
Number, please.
Oh, operator, would you give me long distance, please?
Long distance.
Long distance. I want to speak to Miss Maisie Goldberg at Calumet 54902. That's in Chicago.
Do you have a permit number?
Huh? A what?
A permit number.
A permit number? What for?
All long-distance calls must be cleared to the Commissar of Communications and a permit number obtained.
Say, what kind of chicken? What's all this hogwash you're feeding me? The phone calls to my girlfriend,
All long-distance calls must be cleared with the Commissar of Communications and a permit number obtained.
Okay, so a quick little comment on this. Something I'm curious of. I watched the first bit of this video. I haven't seen the whole thing. I watched the first bit of it. And something I'm wondering is, like, I need to do more research into this, but, like, what kind of, like, restrictions were there in the Soviet Union on communications, like, with telephones? Because, like, I know back in the 1930s, journalists weren't allowed to communicate outside the USSR without, you know, going through the censors. And I'm just kind of curious, like, is this based on, like, what was actually going on in the USSR? And they're just trying sort of to transplant the political and economic situation of the USSR onto the US? Or is this just sort of hypothetical, this is what the communists want kind of stuff? So I guess that is the comment there. I'm gonna look into that at some future point, because part of the reason for watching these videos is that I have a video about sort of the communist infiltration of the U.S. government during the presidency of FDR, and I want to make a video and sort of style it like this, make it look like a 50s anti-communist propaganda video, but it's actually telling the actual facts that, you know, that yes, communists did indeed infiltrate the U.S. government and impact policy. So it's a neat story that I want to tell sometime later this year. So that's part of what we're watching this. I want to get sort of the lingo and aesthetic right. All right, let's get back to the video.
Permit number? Commissar of Communications? It just doesn't make sense. There's something wrong with this town. Seriously wrong. He looks like a wrong guy, too. I've got to see what's going on out there.
By virtue of powers vested in it by the Supreme Soviet, the Communist Party of America will direct all organizations of the people, both social and state. The private operation of hotels, banks, stores, and services will be permitted only at the discretion of the Council of People's Commissars. Any such operation conducted without official sanction is a crime against the state and will be punished accordingly. There may be some among you who will consider this as an encroachment on your individual liberty. Such people will have to be re-educated.
This must be some kind of a gag. With that phone call. That censored mail. Hey, who is that zombie up there?
He's one of the commissars.
What's he trying to do?
He's telling us that we're not allowed to talk, we're only allowed to listen.
You...
Inability to learn fast is sabotage. All right, comrade. Now I'm going to tell you what all this means in plain American. This town is now an active unit in the Communist International. From now on, the welfare of the people's state comes first. Most of you misguide misguided people have been living under a reactionary capitalist democracy for so long that you find it difficult to understand what we mean by the welfare of the people's state. The people's state is you.
Not me, brother.
When I say you, I mean every man,
Not
woman,
me.
child in this community.
You might be fooling some of those jokers with this
Time to get the idea.
people's state routine.
You'll find that
But
for
not
so
me.
long as no
Ooh boy, that was that is a line right there. That is a sheeple's line if I ever heard one. Oh, that escalated quickly. That's like, yeah, I show up in town. It's my day off. Communists take over. Wow, that was quick. All right. All right, let's get back to the show.
Why doesn't somebody do something? Why don't they call the cops? Yeah, the cops.
I'm telling you, you won't get away with it. People won't stand for it. As soon as they realize the extent to which you've taken away their liberties, never mind the farewell speech. We're out.
Not you too, Chief.
I guess so.
But why? Why you?
For performing my duties, I guess, as chief of police of this community,
Get him out of
according to
here.
the best of my ability and according to the Constitution of the United States.
Now what'll I do? I gotta do something. Gotta get out of here.
Council expects it to be clearly understood that it will tolerate no interference in the execution of its public responsibilities. Any person hindering or delaying an officer of the people's state in the performance of his duties will be considered an enemy of the people and punished accordingly. It is the duty of all loyal citizens of the people's state to cooperate with the council at all times, to make any sacrifices which may be ordered for the benefit of the people's state as a whole. Remember, the future of the people's state is your future. You must think, act, and live for the state. The people of this community have waited a long time for the right kind of leadership. Now that you have it, remember that the people's state is your state only if you give it your full and unswerving cooperation in its fight for freedom. No one can get out of his duty.
Get out of here. Yeah. Roads blocked. Newspaper office boarded up. Bank seized. Maybe, maybe I'm dreaming all this. No. I gotta get out of here. But how?
Time is an important factor in the establishment of the people's state. To avoid bloodshed, citizens will obey all orders of people's militia. Persons found engaging in acts of sabotage will be summarily shot. The state demands action. It's on the basis of his actions that the man's loyalty to the community will be judged. Anytime a citizen doubts whether he's doing the right thing,
You call it freedom, you and your jackals? Who elected you to run this community? By what right do you tell us what to believe in and where to live? What makes you think you can tell us where to travel and where to work and what to read? We're Americans, and we believe in the freedom of the individual to make up his mind for himself. It's not the state that comes first. It's the people in it. And if you don't recognize the rights of the people, you don't belong here. Take your hands off me. Let go! Let me go! Let me go!
Now that would never have occurred in the Soviet Union. Well, because no one would have ever gotten that far. Oh man, this is something. Let's see, the flag could have used more work. A bit, yeah, but almost looks like they're going for a Taiwan thing. Or Chile? I don't know. Garrett Allen, they should have went with the Communist Party of America's flag for the anti-communist propaganda. Huh, I wonder if the Communist Party of America had a flag at this point. I wouldn't be surprised. No. Hold on. Oh, you can hear the film. Oh, sorry. Okay, there it is. Yeah. So it's interesting. It's a lot of, internal monologuing. Don't know if I want to use this as the exact example for my future FDR communism video thing, but it's interesting stuff. Like, almost looks like Texas flag, yeah. Let's see. Now, Daniel Cyprin. Are there any anti-communist cartoons on the list? I don't know. Let me check. I don't think I had any. I didn't find any specifically anti-communist cartoons, but I mean, I know there are some out there, but I think a lot of those are also just sort of the nuclear ones. Yeah, there aren't any. I didn't really find any anti-communist cartoons like with the U.S. National Archives YouTube page. And I'm mostly focusing on the U.S. National Archives because those are all public domain, and so I won't be violating anybody's copyright here. Let's see. We got ourselves a super chat. Chiborium says, "Make communism great again." Let's see. What's the default line for that? You'd have to make it great in the first place to make it great again. Ha ha. Yeah. No, thank you for the super chat, Chiborium. Let's see. All right. Any other funny comments before we continue on? Refresh. Let's see. Chiborium, lol. And a lol to you too, sir. All right. If everybody's good, then I guess let's keep going.
All right, come on your feet. Let's go. Get out of here. Come on.
The defendant is charged with refusal to work at occupation specified by the Commissar of Employment. The defendant's attitude throughout has been inimical to the welfare of the people's state. Violation of State Code, Article 47, Section 6, Paragraph 4, respecting private ownership of commercial enterprise, engaged in retail sale and distribution of essential commodities without government permit.
Has the defendant confessed to these crimes?
Yes?
The defendant is sentenced to an indefinite term in State Labor Camp 14.
But I didn't confess. I didn't say a word. Is it wrong to sell bread? I demand that...
Well, it's no dream now, that dirty. They got me where they want me. Oh, if I could only get my hands on
The
that.
defendant is charged with conspiracy under Defense of the People's Act, Article 16, Paragraph 4, to wit, attempting to do bodily harm to officers of the state.
You confess to this crime?
What crime? Look, I don't recognize this court or those bunch of hoods you call officers of the state.
The defendant will confine himself to answering questions rather than raising them.
I'm entitled to defend myself.
You appear to be a sensible, realistic citizen. Perhaps you went to the aid of that woman through a mistaken sense of chivalry.
I'll call it what you like. And it wasn't a mistake either. That woman had a perfect right to say what she did. And everything she said goes double for me.
The charge against you is very serious. If it's necessary to add treason to that charge, we'll go hard with you.
Treason? Say, if there's anybody guilty of treason, it's that zombie who's shooting his mouth off out there in the square.
Is there anything further to say?
I sure do. You don't seriously think you're going to get Americans to go communist, do you? Not with all those benefits you've been handing out. You know, the trouble with you and all your crowd is you think that you can make people act like puppets while you dangle them on that worn-out string of ideas that should have been buried along with the guy that invented them. Oh, you mugs are living back in the 19th century with the bustle skirts and mutton chop whiskers. You're just about as old-fashioned as my grandmother's corsets.
You seem to know a great deal about us.
You ain't kidding. Just try pushing Americans around and you get just about as far as the creek. Sure, you find a few suckers here and there, the kind of guys that live by letting George do it. But you aren't going to fool anybody who knows anything about you. And remember some of those tricks you pulled over the last 30 years. And there's more than enough of us to take care of you.
I admire your spirit, if not your knowledge. Communism needs men like you. A little reschooling will do you a world of good. I'm going to offer you the opportunity of swearing allegiance to the Communist International and the People's State of America. I advise you to accept.
And if I don't?
You'll be punished to the full extent of the law.
You want to know something, Judge? You and all your commie friends can go plumb to blazes.
Under the powers invested in me by the People's State, defendant is sentenced to death. Sentence will be carried out at the time and place to be determined by the court. Leave the prisoner.
Okay, let's debrief a little bit here. So, the guy came to that woman's rescue, got arrested, gave some stuff that I probably wouldn't have sounded too, said some speech, wouldn't have sounded too outside the realm of an Ayn Rand novel or a Tea Party speech. Oof. A lot of ham in this. There is a lot of ham going on, and a lot of cheese. A lot of ham and cheese here. Iro, yeah, I feel he would have he would have been halfway to the gulag already. Yep. Yes, indeed, Shin Partey, a major oof. Yeah. Yeah, boy, how different was the 1950s? Just think about it. It's like taxpayer money paid for this. American tax dollars paid to make this. That is kind of wild. That is kind of wild there. All right, let's continue on.
Wonder if it made sense. The stuff I said in the courtroom. Sure quiet in here. Like a tomb. Maybe I'll be in a real one some morning. Dawn's usually the time they do it. Coyotes. Maybe they do their killing at night. Open.
lighting could be better.
Everything closed tight.
That was pretty easy to escape for a gulag.
Like the place had been hit by the plague. Am I the only one left alive? Where is everybody? Maybe it's a trick. Any minute they'll mow me down. Walk for freedom. Huh. Wonder how many of them were out here this morning. Joseph Cerrito, Herman Cole, Abraham Davis, Thomas Davenport. Maybe they're dead. They've forgotten what they fought for. Feels like the end of the world. It's gonna be a commie world. I don't want it anyway. Well, why don't they get it over with? But nothing happened. I thought of my paper, my money. I had to get back to my hotel. The lobby was dark and the night clerk asleep. I was really bushed and I hit the bed. Just for a minute. Seemed safe enough for a little while. But I guess I fell fast asleep. Bright day when I woke up. And I thought, if they're gonna get me, let them get me in uniform. The only way out was through the lobby. Something's happened to this place. Or maybe it happened to me. Maybe I dreamed the whole thing after all. Here's my key, room 25. You got the bill?
All right. It's $5, sir.
Here, I'll fly down with you.
Thank you, sir.
That's cheaper room. Cost back then.
Excuse me, ma'am. Very sorry.
Oh, it's perfectly all right.
Something's happened, all right. The town looks just the way it did when I first saw it. Quiet, clean, friendly.
Morning, Sergeant. How are you feeling today?
Say, aren't you the man that...
That's right.
What?
I'm the judge that sentenced you to death.
What?
I see you're still alive.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What did they just do? What the hell did they just do here? It's like, wait a minute, was the whole thing a dream? It's like, I was thinking, like, yeah, it was looking like it was gonna be a dream, like a anti-communist version of a Wizard of Oz. You know, Dorothy waking up like, oh, but I was in a communist dictatorship, and you were there, and you were there, and you were there. Oh god, that was a twist I did not see coming. Like, not only is it not a dream, or at least I don't think it was a dream, they pull this. Jesus. All right. Let's finish this up. Let's see where this goes.
Went fine. Better than we expected. In the papers all over the country by now. Next week's issue of Life magazine, too. Cigarette, Sergeant?
No, thanks.
You know, when we first talked it over, a lot of the fellows shouted it down. But it wasn't necessary. Once it was thought it was. Always seemed to be no better way to show a community how it'd be if the communists took over than to act it out. Don't you think so?
Yeah.
Fellow said I did a swell job with that legal language. My lawyer wrote it out for me. You did a swell job too, young fellow. You looked as though you swallowed it all. Hook, line, and sinker.
Did I?
You certainly did. I guess they keep you boys pretty well informed. I could tell by the way you tore into me. That's part of your training. I was wondering whether knowing all the answers the way you did was part of your training.
Oh, sure.
But if all the people understood things the way you did, that stage revolution wouldn't have been necessary.
We try to keep up with things. I couldn't tell them I'd been fooled. And maybe if I'd read the paper the night before, I wouldn't have been. But I did tell the old boy how the service keeps us in the know. When it was all told, I guess he understood that for all of us, military or civilian, it boiled down to whether you were suffering enough to want life that wasn't square yet, or whether you wanted the American. The country sure looked good to me that day. Better than it had ever looked before. I was thinking about that town and about the towns all over America, just like that. I'm wondering how many of them needed that kind of a jolt. I didn't think there were many.
Okay. Ooh, boy. That was a thing. That was a thing. All right, let's debrief a little bit here. So, Face to Face with Communism from 1951. A soldier on his seemingly only vacation day wanders into a town where they're about to LARP a communist takeover to show people what it would actually be like. So I guess like a communist fire drill or something. He doesn't know what's going on. It's like, oh, but luckily, he's a United States soldier in the late 40s, early 50s, and they are trained to spot communist bullshit. Oh, God. Yeah, part of me unironically loves this, but also, yeah, it is funny. Oh boy. All right. Let's see here. Let me look for another one. Yeah, it's like I didn't find any anti-communist cartoons, which was the weird thing. All right. I think here's another one from 1951. Yeah, there's another one from 1951. It's called The Big Lie. It's on another sort of a publicly run channel called Nuclear Vault. And they got it from the National Archives. Transition here. Boop-a-doop-a-doo. All right. Let us get started with number 2, The Big Lie from 1951.
The great masses will more easily fall victims to a big lie than to a small one. Adolf Hitler said that, and he broadcast the big lie to the world. The Hitler gang joined in. The big lie growing bigger. The Nazi voices are still now, but the big lie lives. New faces, new voices. Stalin and the Stalin gang. The big lie bigger and bigger. Hitler built an altar to the big lie. It was at Nuremberg. Stalin built an altar to the big lie. It is in red. The parades are longer. The bands play louder. The German people feel happy and content. They know that the Führer will always find ways and means to overcome economic needs.
The new socialist economy provides citizens with every opportunity to lead a prosperous and cultured life.
There were elections in Germany. Phony elections. Window dressing for the big lie. One candidate, Adolf Hitler and Nazism. Or else. Elections in Russia. Phony elections. Window dressing. One candidate, Stalin and communism. Or else. There were courts in Germany. Phony courts. Phony justice. Phony judges who ranted at the defendants on cue.
Werden liebe Knarren angenommen, werde ich auf dumme Gedanken kommen. Natürlich! Die haben ja bestätigt, dass die KV sind. Also, und werden Sie hier nicht unverstehen?
The communists have courts too.
Вся ваша переписка, все ваши родственники арестованы, обвиняемый, мы знаем все. Вам не избегнуть заслуженной кары. Социалистическое отечество не прощает своих врагов. В последний раз я...
I need to brush up on my German. I need to brush up on my German a bit because I can't understand a damn word he's saying. Or maybe if I was paying attention to that, I would. All right, so I wanted to address a comment I see in the live chat here. A couple people have left this. I was wondering how historians like you separate real communist atrocities from anti-communist propaganda. There are a great number of tankies that claim the Holodomor is Red Scare propaganda. Well, here's the thing. The Holodomor wasn't talked about during the Red Scare, or at least it wasn't talked about widely during the Red Scare or by mainstream sources. The Holodomor was largely unknown to the Western public until like the 1980s. It was talked about how in little chunks before then, but it wasn't widely discussed. And in fact, my upcoming video in my Holodomor trilogy will address this. Yeah, it'll address that, and so you'll see plenty of that stuff there. So, thank you for that question. We know it's not just anti-communist propaganda because we have evidence of it. There are pictures, eyewitness testimony, and even data gathered by the by Soviet government itself is actually useful in elaborating it. Oh, okay. So apparently he was speaking Russian there. Okay. Yeah, sorry. You hear an angry European shouting and you just assume that it's German. No wonder I couldn't understand if he was speaking Russian. All right, let us get back to the video.
Я призываю вас к тому, чтобы вы сознались!
Hitler said, when the German Reich gives a guarantee of peace, that means it also abides by it.
Stalin said, the whole world is aware that the Soviet Union demobilized its forces after the war.
And so an iron curtain fell across Europe, an iron curtain dividing the free world from the slave world. This is the slave world.
Communism means not poverty and privation, but the abolition of poverty and privation. The organization of a well-to-do and cultured life for all members of society.
This is the slave world. And see how it spread. Some areas were gobbled up. Some became Russian-dominated satellites in Europe and in Asia.
We do not covet a hand's breadth of foreign land. The communist state has no need for foreign expansion. It needs no colonial territory.
This is the hub around which the satellites must revolve. And to the Kremlin came their puppet leaders to sign away their nation's freedom. Bulgaria.
The Soviet Union has shown by its deeds that it respects the freedom of all nations.
Thus, the big lie came to Bulgaria. Poland.
Union and friendship with the Soviet Union has brought the Polish people freedom and independence.
Thus, the big lie came to Poland.
Okay, so here's the funny thing about this is that all the stuff they're talking about in this, it's like, I'm very sympathetic to this narrative, but good Lord, the ham and cheese here is just a little over the top. I mean, you gotta wonder if people back then thought it was as cheesy as we do now. It's really incredible how much taste can change. It really is incredible. All right, let's get this. Let's get back to business here.
Romania.
The Soviet government does not pursue the aim of altering the existing social structure of Romania.
Thus, the big lie came to Romania. North Korea.
Best Korea.
The Korean people themselves must be allowed to settle their internal affairs.
Thus, the big lie came to North Korea. Red China.
The great Chinese people are not alone. They can and will rely more and more on the Soviet Union.
Thus, the big lie to China. Sold out, the people of satellite Poland. Sold out to the pattern of parades, the posters of Stalin and Lenin. The big lie set to marching tempo, the funeral march of a nation's freedom. Sold out. Sold out, the people of satellite Romania.
The Romanian people have marched under the leadership of their Workers' Party along the correct path of consolidating the fraternal bond with the Soviet Union.
Sold out. the people of satellite Hungary.
I just thought of something. So, a moment ago, I was thinking, like, how could this stuff be so over the top? Like, did it not sound silly back then? And I think one of the reasons why it's so over the top, other than just the time period it came in, was because I think Truman at this time was kind of, like, this is in 1951, so Harry Truman is still president. And at this time, Truman was, like, facing a lot of, like, criticism and backlash over his foreign policy. It was under Truman that, like, the Soviets ended up dominating Eastern Europe, even though that was mostly due to FDR's decisions. There's also the fact that in 1949, China fell to the communists, just like 2 years before this came out. And then North Korea invaded South Korea, and did North Korea invade South Korea in 50 or 51? I can't remember at the top of my head. Let's see, let me look up that real quick. Korean War. And 50, yeah. So a year before this film was made, North Korea invaded South Korea. So I think at this time, the Truman administration is going real ham on the anti-communist stuff to try and prove that, no, I'm not a pinko. I please, don't call me a commie. I swear, I want to fight the commies too. And so, along with, of course, the Korean War, he also pushes these anti-communist propaganda films into the military. And it's like, okay, here, see, look how not communist I am. I'm going super ham and cheese on this. On all of this. Shen Partey, and don't forget Vietnam. Yeah, Vietnam was another issue at this time, though the French were still there, I think, at this point. So, yeah, at least this is sort of the historical context I'm thinking for this film. Yeah, so let's get back to our feature presentation.
There is no area of Hungarian socialist life which does not receive constant invaluable assistance from the Soviet Union.
Sold out. Sold out, the people of satellite China.
Everywhere, the working people of the Chinese People's Republic are expressing a fervent desire to master the Russian language, the language of Lenin and Stalin, in order to assimilate still more successfully the very rich experience in socialist construction of the peoples of the USSR.
Sold out. Sold out, the people of satellite North Korea.
The glorious Korean People's Republic walks side by side with the Soviet Union.
Sold out. Sold out, the people of Czechoslovakia.
The Czechoslovakian people treasure as the apple of their eye alliance and friendship with the great Soviet Union.
Sold out. This is the funeral march of Jan Masaryk, who could not live with the big lie. It is also the funeral march of Czechoslovakia's freedom, which is to follow the body of this man into the grave. One nation behind the Iron Curtain refused to die. The beginning was the same. No communist leader followed the patterns of the big lie more perfectly than Marshal Tito of Yugoslavia.
Oh, there it goes.
Like all the others, Tito made the pilgrimage to Moscow.
Tito has a brilliant talent for army leadership. He has great personal courage combined with great charm and the talents of an outstanding politician and statesman.
Then something went wrong. Wrong for Russia. For the first time, the Iron Curtain was pushed back. A slave had escaped. The Russians had new words to describe Tito.
The coward Tito is a hireling spy and murderer, a bankrupt fascist, a traitor to his country.
In Yugoslav schools, Yugoslav textbooks replaced Russian textbooks.
The meaning and significance of the fascist crusade against culture, launched by the Titoites, are becoming increasingly clear.
Ah, yes. You notice there the words they're quoting from the Soviet Union, calling Tito a fascist. That is something I don't talk specifically about that, but in part 2 of the Holodomor trilogy that'll be coming out next Tuesday, I talk a bit about this Soviet propaganda thing that started after World War II, in which basically every opponent of the USSR is referred to as a fascist, a Nazi, or a Hitlerite. Any criticism is designated as fascist or Nazi propaganda. And it is a rhetorical trick that that was adopted by leftists in the United States and in other Western countries, referring to any criticism of communism as being fascist propaganda. So it's a neat little thing, and I'm seeing more of it here. In fact, I wish I had actually seen this video before I made my my video, my Holodomor trilogy. Otherwise, I would have included some of this audio. Also, some useful. It's also some, I think, useful archival footage here. Let's see. I got a couple questions and comments here. The Shen Partey, is Soviet propaganda by calling your opponents Nazis strong today? Well, more or less the same tactic was taken by, like left-wing groups in the United States. I mean, it is a frequent rhetorical device used by people on the left to attack anyone on the right. Criticize anything on the left and you get called a Nazi or a fascist. Hitlerite never caught on. It's like the three words the three words that the Soviets always used were fascist, Nazi, and Hitlerite. Hitlerite never caught on, and I'm kind of disappointed because it's kind of a fun word, Hitlerite, but yeah. So Nazi and fascist, very common, used by certain parts of the left. So yeah, when you see someone referring to anyone as a fascist or Nazi, criticizing them as such, there's a pretty good chance that they are knowingly or not knowingly regurgitating Soviet propaganda. Let's see, Kuro Azrem, are you right-wing or centrist? Well, here's the thing. My views haven't changed that much, but apparently today I'm considered a centrist. Like a decade ago, I was considered right-wing. Today, I'm considered a centrist because I think we should try to get along. All right, so All right, we got a few more minutes. We got 5 more minutes left in this video, so let's finish this up here.
Yugoslav grain would feed Yugoslavians. It would not feed Russians while Yugoslavians starved.
The working people of Yugoslavia are rising in struggle against terror and oppression for bread and their vital rights.
In Yugoslavia, the big lie had failed. The communists have a bigger lie, the lie of the dove, their biggest lie of all. At endless rallies, they proclaim it. Peace, peace. A great and a beautiful word, peace. But when the communists mouth it, it means war.
The bulk of expenditure in the USSR is for the national economy and for social, cultural undertakings. The whole world is aware that the Soviet Union demobilized its forces after the war.
This is the word. And this is the deed. War in Greece, communist war. The dove that goes boom. Peace rallies, hide the deed with words. Talk peace, act in the ways of war.
The Soviet Union spends its basic funds on peaceful construction. The entire mode of life of the Soviet people excludes the possibility of attacking other peoples.
This is the word. And this the deed. War in Indochina, communist war. The dove that goes boom. Peace rallies, hide the deed with words.
Expenditure is for peaceful production. The Soviet Union pursues a policy of peace.
This is the word. And this the deed. War in Korea, communist war. This is the deed. The dove that goes boom. Peace petitions. Hide the deed with words. Sign your name hopefully on the line that says peace. And you sign your life away in Soviet war.
We do not want war, and we shall do everything possible to avert it. The Soviet Union pursues, without retreating, a policy of peace and friendship.
This is the word, and this the deed. War in China, communist war. Beware the big lie. Beware the dove that goes boom.
All right. Well, let's see. Okay, well, unfortunately, I don't think we have time for another video. I have a, I have to make dinner for the family tonight, so I've got about another 15 minutes here, so I guess I'll turn the rest of this live stream into a Q&A, I guess. So, what questions do you guys have? What do you guys want to talk about for another 15 minutes or so? Let's see. All right, no questions coming in from Patreon, it looks like. Nothing on Twitter. Yeah, what do you guys have? Yep, everyone loves the dove that goes boom meme, I guess. Yep. Boom. Lunatics. Gotta make Din Din. Yep. Dude, how come they ignored East Germany? Everyone ignores East Germany. Talk about Das Kapital. Das Kapital is to Marxists what Atlas Shrugged is to libertarians. They all sing its praises, but no one's ever actually read it. Yeah, it's like, I've read bits and pieces, but dear God, Das Kapital is proof that just because a book is long doesn't mean that it's actually smart. It is proof of that. There is no correlation between the two. Kuro Azrem, what's your opinion on Tito? He was still a commie, but it was a different kind of communism. You know, like, the Soviets didn't have a monopoly on communism. So yeah, Robert Leslie, have you seen the Why We Fight series? I don't think I've ever watched them all. I haven't watched all of them from start to finish, though I've scrubbed through the footage of it for videos in the past. So yeah, that's most of mine. Maybe we can do a series of watch-alongs for that in the future. See, I still got more anti-communist propaganda to get through. We just won't do them now. So I might do more live streams of watching anti-communist propaganda in the future. They might be random streams on this channel, or I might even do them on Twitch. Let's see. Sam Pam, did the U.S. government believe China was a puppet of the USSR? Well, at the time, people thought they were very close, and this was before the Sino-Soviet split in the 1960s. And so everyone thought that they were going to be working really closely together. You know, especially like in the Korean War when China intervened on behalf of North Korea. Let's see. Eric Willis, yeah, I mean, Mark's stuff is, yeah, Mark says it's a rough book to read. Yeah, Das Kapital is not, it's like, the only reason to ever read Das Kapital is for the same reason to read, like, Atlas Shrugged, and that is mostly to say you've done it. See, Kuro Azrem, what is your opinion on anarchism? I don't believe in anarchism. Now, when I say I don't believe in anarchism, I don't mean it in the same way like, oh, I don't morally believe it, like, I don't think it's good. I don't believe in anarchism in the same way an atheist doesn't believe in God. I don't think anarchism is actually real. You know, it's like they try to create these weird distinctions like, oh, no, we still have government, we just don't have a state. It's like you're creating a distinction without a difference. You know, those are my feelings on anarchism, regardless of its variety. Gum Dukin, would you say some of the world will go full technocracy? I ask because some of my friends fear this might be the US's fate. I don't know. A big, like, technocracy is hard to get through in a fully democratic society. Like, China, I think, is the closest thing we have to a technocratic society in the world right now. and even then, it's still highly personality driven. The Shin Partey, what do you think of Nikolai? Lots of vowels in that last name. I don't know who that is. See, all right, Kuro and Marx was criticized as hell by other socialists, mostly anarchists, because of his weird theories and the whole dictatorship of the proletariat. Yeah, Marx, once again, like today, Marx is the premier, socialist writer, but he was not even like the biggest socialist of his time. Marx only became the dominant voice of socialism after his death. So he never really got to enjoy the fame beforehand. All right, Shen Partey, what do you think of Andy Ngo's recent book about Antifa or whatever they call themselves? I haven't read it, and I don't really follow Andy Ngo. It's like Andy Ngo's a real mixed bag, because like a lot of people on the right like to promote him up because he's an Asian man, and he's like, I think he was gay. I can't remember if Andy Ngo's gay or not. But like the idea is like, oh, a gay Asian man gets beat up by leftist thugs. That was sort of the reason they all propped him up. But yeah, I don't follow Andy Ngo's work very much. Let's see. Shen Partey, Nicolae is the Romanian communist leader who was overthrown in '89. Ah, yeah. Yeah. Well, like I say, I'm not a big fan of communists. Not a big fan of commies. All right, Kuro, had not the USSR existed, anarcho-communism would be the de facto leftist ideology. I don't think so. Here's the thing. I really don't think anarchism can succeed as a political ideology because it's too fractious. It's like any ideology that says the state isn't allowed to exist is really hard to organize people around. It gets really hard to organize it and keep them together. See, do you think today's right-wingers are all religious fanatics? No, in fact, one of the problems I find with the right today is that too many of them have abandoned genuine religiosity. Like there's that CPAC over the last weekend where like they literally unveiled a golden statue of Donald Trump. It's like, what? That's crazy. Yeah. Drust, what do you think of some libertarians being against pro-choice? Is that not against the main principles of bodily autonomy? Well, here's the thing. There are, in fact, anti-abortion libertarians, and the perspective of anti-abortion libertarians is that when a woman is pregnant, the child has its own bodily autonomy, and by aborting an unborn child, you are violating that child's bodily autonomy. That is sort of the libertarian defense of being against abortion. And there is no hard and fast sort of agreement within the libertarian movement at this time. It's one of the areas that they are kind of divided over. The one thing that left libertarians and right libertarians both agree on with abortion, usually, is that the government shouldn't be funding it. Let's see. See, Sam Pam, if you had to choose, which Eastern Bloc country would you most like to live in? Oh God, they're all just kind of awful. I'd have to think. It'd have to be either the one that's easiest to escape or the one that I actually could survive in. It's like I know some German, so East Germany I have the best linguistic abilities, but I don't think East Germany's the easiest to escape from. Like. Yeah, so I'd have to look more into which country had the most people escaping from it. All right. Gum Gum Dukin, with how things are turning out, would you say there will be an age of extreme? I don't know. It's just everything is going far right now. It's like, here's the thing. I don't think things are actually going far right at the moment. It's like the people who think everything is going far right, it's more, I think, from a very culturally left perspective if you think that's what's actually going on. There's definitely a lot of rhetoric going further to the right, but in terms of actual actions, it's not really. A drunken recap. What do you think of the capitalism death toll argument when the left tries to combat anti-communist talking points? I need to look more into it, but I don't really buy into it because like they lump a lot of things that aren't capitalism into capitalism, like things that came about before capitalism existed. So yeah, Kuro, what do you think about Islam? I'm not a Muslim. That's all I'm going to say about that. The Shen Parte, what do you think of that rune symbol at CPAC? I have not seen it, so I can't tell you. I saw pictures of the Trump statue. That's about it. See, Kuro, where did you learn German? In Highschule. I took a 3 Jahre auf Deutsch in Highschule. Meine deutsche Lehrerin kommt auf Bayern. Yeah, so in high school I took 3 years of German, and my German teacher came from Bavaria. So we learned German with a more southern German accent rather than a northern German accent. So like a difference between them is like a northern German accent would say the word I, which is spelled I-C-H, as ich, but with a much harder emphasis on the consonants, whereas a southern German accent would say ish, you know, like make it sound almost more like I-S-H rather than a hard consonant. That blue guy. Hey, Casual Historian, I've been subscribed to you for a while. Just want to say that it's pretty courageous to answer all sorts of political questions in public. You must be pretty anxious. Stay safe. I feel pretty safe. I'm not in a big city. No one's going to hunt me down. Let's see, Drust. Hold on, the baby does have bodily autonomy, but one bodily autonomy does not overwrite someone else's bodily autonomy. Otherwise, something like rape would be permissible. Except not really. Rape is still rape. By aborting the baby, you are killing it. And there's a difference between kinds of overriding of bodily autonomy. Rape is horrible. I think we all agree murder is worse. And at the end of the day, I think, you know, you don't really want to punish the child for the sins of the father. And it's unfortunate, but I think that's the morality as I see it. You know, yeah, rape and murder are both wrong. One of them ends a life and the other makes someone want to end their life, and that's why it's tragic. Let's see. All right, guys. Well, there are a lot of questions here, ones that I don't think I'm going to get to at the moment, but thank you so much for watching. Next month, for the April live stream, my plan is to take a bunch of those online quizzes. So, you know, your Myers-Briggs, the Political Compass, and a bunch of others. So, yeah, I'll make a post in the community tab about that when we get closer to it, when I'm going to spend a whole time taking all these stupid internet quizzes. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next time, and don't forget to watch the video coming out next week. Next Tuesday, part 2 of the Holodomor Denial series will be out. So, until then, see ya.